Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of the Joan Jett 3-part finale. We resume with Joan Jett's 5th album, Good Music. Released in 1986, it would come out through Black Heart Records in its native US, through other labels in other countries, and it would be produced by a lot of people once again. So, after glorious results, a couple of band members left, and we get new members Kasim Sultan on bass and Tommy Price on drums. Anyway, this album starts with the title track, and yep, the title describes what this album is full of. Okay, sure, there is a lot of covers with 3 of the album's 10 songs consisting of such, but putting those aside, this album is a banger. Again, there's really no difference in how it's produced, but it feels a lot less cynical? It's got a much more anthemic arena punk structure to it, and it just proves that when Joan Jett and the Dark Cardiac take their time to put the work in, they can put out some really good stuff. And yeah, there's also guest spots from Beach Boys and Sugar Hill Gang, and this album just drips 80s cheese, but it doesn't even pretend that it's not trying to do that, and I have to appreciate that. Besides that, the album has some really good instrumental work and pacing, a bit simplistic, but it gets to the point really well. The lyrics are again sort of the same, trying to be a bit deeper with things like hiding away from the rockstar lifestyle, but once again, never really been Joan's strongest suit. It's still a solidly paced album that's compressed to all buggery, sure, but Joan and the Hearts O Black do put in a better performance this time around. My favourite song goes to This Means War. Good music is certainly that, and while it's not the best thing that Joan's ever committed to studio, it is a huge step in the right direction. Next is the band's 6th album, Up Your Alley. Released in 1988, it came out through Black Heart and CBS Sound in the US, through Polydor and other countries, and it would be produced by Kenny Laguna, Rick Browd, and Desmond Child. So, after the good music, Joan got a good mainstream boosting and writing music for and starring in the Michael J. Fox movie Light of Day in 1987. Besides that, she did manage to pen this album, which starts with the song and single I Hate Myself for Loving You. And god yes, it's so good to hear the old Joan back in full force. There's a lot more original material in this one with only 2 covers, which I appreciate, but that aside, yeah, the opening track is a good old fun-fueled bit of hard rock. To be fair, it's a pace that doesn't really change up, but I do have to give this album points for having tonal consistency. And also, the production on this one is a lot cleaner. Maybe it's because it's a more recent album, but this one only has 3 producers on it, making it smaller in scale, but no less impacting in its attentions. And yeah, the instrumental structure is solid as it's ever been, with faster pace riffs and the production actually giving it more room to breathe, making the overall mix sound a lot better. Seriously, if good music was a step in the right direction, then Up Your Alley has safely reached that destination. The lyrics cover things like brokenheartedness, cheating and uncertainty in relationships, all delivered with Joan's signature raspy singing flow. And yeah, the band members all sound great here too, so gotta give props to that. My favourite song goes to You Want In, I Want Out. Up Your Alley was certainly up my alley, and it's a huge turn bit for Joan Jett's Hackblot, with slick production and lots of absolute bangers to be had. And lastly, for part 2, we cover Joan's 8th studio album, Notorious. Released in 1991, it would come out through multiple labels in many continents, and it was also produced by Kenny Laguna and several others. And also, yes, I know this should be where her 7th album hit list is, but that album is all cover songs, and I don't do cover albums. Anyway, this album, actually an album, not a covers album, starts with the song Backlash, and from this song, we get the sense that there's a more experimental sort of side to Joan. Which is odd, as it was intended to be released as the first single, but it didn't go well, and there was also debate about some songs. There is a track named Misunderstood, which was supposed to appear here, but it only appears as a Japanese release bonus track. Because, as we know, Japan always gets the best stuff. Not including some of the, natural disasters and the nuclear bombs, but besides that, they get the best stuff. There's also a song I Want You, which was written for a movie Joan was going to be in, and it was apparently a much darker song originally, but it got revised in the late 80s/early 90s because we're not allowed to not have fun. Going back to what I was saying earlier, yeah, this album is a more experimental beast, especially in terms of its pacing. It's a bit slower with a more layered feel to its texture, and it's a mood that stays throughout the album, so I have to applaud the consistency. It's not too bad instrumentally, with some good riffs and grooves to keep us going, and Joan still sounds really good, arguably even clearer than usual. Production plays a big part, sounding as good as it usually does, and the lyrics cover things like masculinity, relationships, and romance. My favourite song goes to Goodbye. Notorious has Joan taking it slow for the most part, but it works for her in the Black Heart, and I applaud its consistency and the dedication from the performers. And that does it for part 2. Hopefully at some point today I'll also be able to upload the AVW vs PBW episode, the more recent one, and tonight, gonna be streaming Cutting Edge, so gonna be quite busy today. And as always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye bye.